Wow, just so many great memories. Bonsoir, good evening. I'm Claudia Moore, and I am so happy that there is a seat in the Dance Hall of Fame for Robert Desrosiers. Robert est un artiste tout le temps, chaque jour de sa vie. Robert is an artist to the very core of his being. For those of us who had the chance to work with Robert, well, I'm not going to lie, it was wild. The action off stage was almost as exciting as the action on stage. We had costumes, lots of them, and we changed costumes often. It was wild, and it was exhilarating, and it was exhausting. Robert was uncompromising when it came to his work. We were rehearsing right up until the curtain rose. We were so spent at the end of every show from all those extremely challenging Robert moves and all those harried backstage costume changes. Well, at the after parties and receptions, we really earned our drinks. Every single one of them. And the food, too, if there was any. Robert and I were together for 12 years. Often, I would wake up in the middle of the night and, where's Robert? I would find him in the living room, building props, painting a mask for his new work. There was no stopping Robert when it came to his work. He was completely and utterly committed to his vision. His work was his life. His company was his family. Oh yes, wild and wonderful times. We met as kids, young students at the National Ballet School. I remember so clearly the first time I saw Robert. I was looking outside the residence window at dinner time, and he came bounding up the stairs. With a spring in his step like a young goat, his black curls flying and already sporting a trickster quality in his way of moving. Robert was an astonishing dancer. You can see that. His dynamic, unpredictable, and explosive style were totally unsuitable for the typically controlled and princely ballet roles for men, though he did a wicked Russian dance in the Nutcracker and was quite perfect for Roland Petit's Cranègre. Robert and I both performed in a choreography by Timothy Spain at school as grade 10 students. It was called Sagar. We performed it with Tim and with his partner at the time, you may know her, Karen Kane, with our schoolmates, Ricardo McDonald and Frank Augustin. What a thrill. Tim's moves were far from classical, and we danced in white unitards to the hyper-modern music of Morton Subotnick's Silver Apples of the Moon, with wild projections pulsating on the scrim. Yeah, that was more like it. That was the kind of work that we wanted to sink our physical chops into. It was a while and a few more companies before Robert finally burst onto the scene with his own work in 1980. Night Clown was an instant hit, and heads were turned towards the new boy on the block. This wunderkind, as William Littler called him in his first Desrosiers review, who designed and often made his own costumes, sets, props, and whose choreography defied category. Later, he worked with genius designers like Gerard Smith and others to bring his visions to life. Robert's imagination was boundless and gave birth to countless characters who originated in his dreams, both light and dark. Like the mad clown who burst out of a box in a rage, and the insect-like clown with long white fingers in Night Clown, the flying, trumpet-playing soldiers in Brass Fountain, the bad weather duo clothed in bamboo suits who became their own music. The Red Queen was one of my favorite roles, though balancing that enormous papier-mâché hat on my head whilst executing daring Desrosiers moves was really challenging. Who can forget the tuxedo-clad men who glided around the stage balancing chandeliers on their heads? Or the Buster Keaton-like accordion player that was Robert himself, swinging a life-size papier-mâché cow like a whirling dervish. And there was a lot of dry ice and smoke to swim through, so catching our breath was often a challenge. Will I make it through this one without passing out? We had the luxury of live music, always a part of Robert's creations, which gave us an extra energy boost and the incentive to achieve those final scenes. I am so grateful to Robert for the gift of his visions in his extraordinary works, and for the challenge he offered us of bringing those visions to life, for drawing crowds of dance non-believers into the theater to see dance, for engaging so many artists in his work, dancers, musicians, designers, composers, that we might experience performance at its most intensely physical, wildly surreal, wondrously inventive, and passionate best. And that all those who witnessed Robert's work might open their own imaginations just a little bit wider. Merci, Robert.
Thank you, Claudia. Very kind words. Well, I'm here to express my utmost gratitude to the dancers that worked so hard to meet my vision, to bring it to life, and the staff members and the generous board members who spend so many hours finding ways of raising the funds for me to continue and have a company. I'm most grateful to all the composers, the musicians, the costume makers, the prop makers, everyone that participated in creating these pieces. I will never forget how dedicated all of them were towards achieving this goal. And thank you for this award.